So welcome back to another video. This one's going to be pretty quick. It's not going to be the most interesting video, which is probably not something that you meant to say at the start of the video, is it? But like, a lot of people ask me about this, so you know, if a lot of people are wanting it, I'm going to make a video on it. But yes, basically I'm just going to show you my custom tactics, and instead of just showing you them, I'm going to explain them in a bit more depth and sort of try and help you understand what they do, because at first when I look at them, you know, it just looks like numbers. It's hard to sort of understand and interpret unless somebody sort of explains it to you, so that's what I'm going to do. But before we do that, I've just realised that the bin's on the bed. Why is that there? Move that. Yeah, so hopefully this helps some of you out, and I'm not, like, literally, if you copy these tactics, I'm not necessarily saying that these are going to work for everybody. These are probably going to work for someone who plays like me. So starting off with speed then, this basically is how fast the team creates an attack, creates the build-up play. So, you know, if you have this on 1, your players are going to stand still, they're not going to move. If you have this on 100, you know, they're going to be all over the place, they're going to be trying to attack as quick as you can. So with this, you know, I like to keep the sort of balanced, so I have it on 55. It's, you know, just slightly overbalanced, but yeah, 55, like this, it doesn't have too much effect, this, for me. So yeah, 55 for this one. Again, passing, you know, I like to just keep this balanced. I don't want, you know, the pass to go too quickly. I don't want them going, having no passing options and it being really slow build up. So I keep it balanced, I keep it 50, you know, I'm trusting the eye to know what they're doing and you know, decide the best place to be. Then for positioning, I like to keep it organised. If you change that to freeform, what I sometimes find is that, you know, you get so used to passing the ball out in certain directions that sometimes your players aren't there and they're just all, you know, in random places, and it can just get a bit nasty. Chance creation, then I've gone with the passing on 65. I found that when you have it on this, you know, your players are making good runs, they're making random runs, and when you're attacking, that's what you want. When you're defending and you're trying to play out of you know, your defence, you don't want that. So that's why I have the build-up play on organised. You know, I like to know when our players are going to sort of make the run to, so you know, it's not, you know, you're not going to have any problems at the back. But yeah, when you're attacking, you want them to have a bit of creativity. So that's why I like to have passing, you know, a bit over 50 and have it on 65. Moving on then to the crossing chance creation bit, I have this lower than 50. Now the reason I have this on 45 is because crossing isn't that overpowered on this game. So, you know, if your players just get into the perfect crossing positions and stuff, it's not the best way to score. It's, you know, the amount of times you'll score from headers isn't going to be as high as, say, you know, you get your players in good areas to take a good shot off. So that's why, you know, I like to compensate on the crossing and have the passing and shooting a bit higher, which is what we'll get on to now, which is the shooting. And I have that on, I've got, you know, got a notes here. I have the shooting on 70. Now the reason I have it on 70 is because if I have it on 0, you know, my players are just going to stand still, they're going to not be creating any chances, they're not going to get to shoot positions, and it's going to be very difficult to score. You put it on 100, they're going to be just straight like, get me into that shoot position, and it's going to be, you know, for the person who's got the ball, it's going to be like, lads, come on, help me out, I've got no options here, because they're just going to be stood in the shoot position already. So you don't really want that. Yeah, so 70 just seems to work well. This is all kind of like what works well for you, and you just have to sort of play around with stuff. If there's something not working, change it, it might work better for you. It's just one of them with this. But yeah, so moving on to the defence then, this one is quite important actually. Now pressure, for me, 45 works perfectly. The reason it works perfectly is because the amount of people which play defensive, you know, or part of the bus and stuff, and then counter attack, they're just, you know, part of the bus, the counter attack, they might not be the best player in the game, but they've got the tactics. You have your pressure on something like 80, 90, your players are going to be so far up the pitch, all it takes is one counter attack and it's going to be so difficult to defend that, especially if they've got, you know, like a 4-3-3 formation with 3 attackers, and you've got wing backs like Gale Clichy, Kyle Walker who like to get up. There's going to be chances in the game where you lose the ball and it's just going to be an easy attack for him, and then that's when FIFA can get annoying. So for me, I don't like to be in that situation, so to counter that, I have my possession quite low, so I have it on 45, and you know, your defence isn't sitting too far back, like, you know, it's hard for you to get up the pitch, but equally, you know, you're not putting too much pressure on to let the other person in and have chances. So 45 works well for me, and I'd recommend people trying that one out of any of them and see how that works for them. But yes, moving on to aggression then, and this is pretty, again, self-explanatory. It's how aggressive the computer is when they're making tackles and stuff. So you have this on 100, you know, they're all turning into Pepe, they're wiping people out. Well, they're not wiping people out, they're just sticking the foul, and they're going to be making more fouls, but they're going to be sort of tackling the ball more often than if you had it on, like, you know, 1. But this is risky because this is how you can give away a lot of penalties and stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend having this on 100. But equally, I would not recommend having this on 1 because they're going to be like, yeah, get away from me. They're not going to want to tackle anything. Especially if you've got like quite weak sort of defenders like KezBrown, for example. So for this, I like to have it on just over 50. So I have this on 55. Now, in this game compared to the last FIFA, refs are much more lenient, so you don't get penalties as often as you would. So that's why I like to have the aggression slightly higher than what it is normally. And I just find that, you know, they stick the foot out and make tackles more than they would if it wasn't on that. And at the same time, you know, I rarely give away penalties and fouls. So that's working well for me. Team width, this is again how sort of wide the team is when it starts across the pitch. I like to keep it on balance. I like to think, you know, again, the computer knows what they're doing, but it's not. I just have it slightly over. So I have this on literally 52. It doesn't make that much of a difference. Obviously, if you put it on 1, they're going to be like packed, and if you put it on 100, they're going to be trying to like stand off the pitch basically. But yeah, you definitely don't want either of them two. So have it balanced, and you know, you should be fine with that. And then defender line, people may have watched the videos and seen this, but have it on cover. With this, it's weird. Like for some reason, the start the defensive line on offside track, which is not what you want, because again it creates chances for people to just have chances, and you don't want that. So with cover, I find that you've got like defenders pulling back and like just marking runs and stuff. It just makes your defending a lot more solid and makes it harder for people to get chances in on goal. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up the custom tactics. Now, hopefully I've explained that. Anything, you know, that you've been like, Kez, what are you doing? That makes absolutely no sense. Just drop it in the comments down below, and I'll try and explain better in the comments than I have in this video. And yeah, hopefully that's going to help people out. Let me know if you do anything different, or if there's anything I should change. You know, if people have found something that works better for them, that might work better for me, and I'm missing. Yeah, but apart from that, thanks for watching. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. And yeah, let's carry on with these daily uploads.
Feeling like I gotta get it right now. Moving like a killer in the darkness out of sight now. On another level, so they never wanna fight now. Going up dirt, bro, but it's looking bright now. We just on the pipe now, with the dick right now. But I can't fade, taking shots with the side down. I could've died that day, but I guess I don't ride that way. Chilling in the cut, getting high all day with a couple bad bitches.